Welcome to the 50 to 70 podcast, brought to you in association with 3FE. Head over to 3fe.com to get everything you need for your coffee fix, whether it's coffee beans, merchandise, accessories, or even Colin Harmon's book that is called What I Know About Running Coffee Shops. I am Dave Humphreys, and you are?
Cormac Singleton.
Hello, Cormac. How are you?
I'm good, Dave. How are you?
I'm pretty good, thanks. Pretty good.
It's been a couple of days.
We have a lot to talk about.
Work, life, everything has been very busy.
It has been, and we hope that all of you listening are very well. But we are going to dive right into it because
We have a topical topic.
a topical topic.
Something that's kind of in the fore at the moment, and we and possibly listeners as automotive enthusiasts may get a bit of flack from lay people over this. Non-enthusiasts, people who see cars as appliances, that if you have anything bad or disparaging to say about EVs, that is because you're a naysayer and you hate them and you're bigoted just because you're into cars and you want to kill the world.
That's, yeah.
And they are either brilliant or you're wrong.
Oh, I already feel this touching a nerve.
It's going to touch all the nerves. But
Yeah.
It's important because there are issues to be highlighted with EVs in the same way that there's issues with internal combustion stuff. And just because you can pick a fault with an EV doesn't mean that you're necessarily against them. Me. I just think some of them are wrong.
Yeah, I mean, okay, God, where do we even begin with this? There is definitely, it is extremely tribal.
Yes.
When it comes to this kind of stuff. And as somebody that is obviously kind of working in and around the industry as a journalist, I kind of cover everything. Naturally, at the moment, I'm covering a lot more electric stuff. Like, I spend a lot of my time driving electric cars now. And electric cars have definitely come on a long way when I think back to like the very first EV I drove was the Mitsubishi i-MiEV. And it really was terrible. Now, the funny thing was, I'm going to go back. It was probably circa 2010, 2012. It was quite a while ago. Genuinely, as a car enthusiast, I kind of felt there was a certain novelty and excitement about driving a car that was just electric. Because back then, it was still very much a rare thing. But that car was terrible.
Its image as well. For the people who are into supercars, we looked at this as the same way when you had an Xbox and your brother got a Wii.
Yeah.
It's just a bit...
Yeah, absolutely. Now, skip forward, 10, 12 years, and things are now very, very different. And thankfully, they've come on a huge way. But I certainly see it when I go on to, say, certain, Facebook groups about car enthusiast Facebook groups, let's sort of say, some stuff like that. And the comments. Now, I know Facebook is the worst place to go looking for comments, for the sort of
check your logic at the door, please.
Mouth breeders. It makes the comment section on the journal.ie look highbrow. But it is very much a hard no from these people. An absolute hard no when it comes to EVs. They just, no.
They only speak offences.
Yeah, and they're milk floats and it's just the same 5 different things rolled out over and over again. Like,
oh, sure, it's a diesel generator that charges when it breaks.
And you'll need new battery after a year, and you need all this kind of stuff. And it's just like, I need sort of like...
A brother of mine once had a remote control car and it broke.
Yeah, it's that kind of thing. And I need to just like kind of have some sort of mouthwash, but for my brain when I go and look at these kind of things. And sometimes I kind of feel like I want to engage and I want to try and, go, no, you're
wrong. Oh, sure, what do you know?
Yeah, exactly. And then, or if I do, then it's like, well, you would say that you're being paid by Big Battery or whoever, Big EV you're a puppet and all this kind of stuff. But at the same time, I know we're kind of slightly veering off topic here, but also Tesla people. Holy shit, have they drank all of the Kool-Aid?
Well, they're not car people; they're tech people.
Tesla people are. That's an insult to tech people because there are some good tech people out there and some smart tech people out there. Tesla people. Do you know what Tesla people are? Tesla people are tech people that only go on Facebook.
Yeah.
Because, man, the stuff that they are fully brainwashed. And don't get me wrong. Like,
I want to say they're like Apple people, but we both have iPhones and
no,
MacBooks.
No, they're not like that. Definitely not that.
Yeah, they're very one track. It is
Man,
Elon and Tesla are the savior.
They are a special bunch. And look, on some levels, Tesla cars are quite good at certain things. Battery range, the supercharger network, phenomenal. Now,
Going to space,
not so much in Ireland because we don't have a big supercharger network as such, but in other countries in the US, that thing, game changer. What they've done, phenomenal. I tip my hat to them for that. But the build quality on some of their cars is frankly terrible.
It was shoddy in the E-Class and it was shoddy in the Model S.
And the subsequent things they've done, like removing indicator stalks. And you know, it is this whole Stockholm syndrome thing of people go, no, it's great. Like, you get used to it really quickly and then it's fine. It's like, no, it's not. Having your indicators on one flat panel on your fucking steering wheel is not good. It is not good. We've had stalks for how long? How many decades? They work fine. They absolutely work fine.
The Ferrari 458 community is up in arms at you at the moment.
You don't have to swipe the screen up and down to go to forward or reverse, or like just Tesla, like some of the stuff I just wish they were better. And let's not get onto the whole, autopilot kind of self, which thankfully we don't seem to have the same Kool-Aid drinking belief.
No, but we also have...
In the US they have when it comes to autopilot.
We have more regulations.
We do.
NHTSA is kind of pretty laxed about some of that stuff in the States, and we don't have to contend with them.
Yeah, no, but it is... Yeah, and just in case anybody is unsure, autopilot is not self-driving. It is just adaptive cruise control with really shitty parameters. That's all it is.
It's
You're
lane
lying.
assist.
You are absolutely lying to yourself if you think you have a Tesla and it's a self-driving car. It is absolutely not. And if you've paid extra to have that feature, you're a fool. But anyway, sorry. Let's get back on track to talking about EVs.
So it's a bit of a misconception that if you have anything bad to say about EVs, then if you're into cars, you are against them as a whole, and that is because you love petrol and burning things.
Yes, absolutely.
Not the fact that there are many, many flaws with current EVs. And it's not to say it's not the answer, but it's not the only answer either. Now, I think EVs have their place, for sure. I'm a very vocal supporter of the AMI. Mainly because I don't think someone's aunt needs 600 brake in a Kia to go to Lidl. That's
or to go through a wall of Lidl.
To go through Lidl.
Yeah.
That's a big point of contention for me, is just the weight. People are putting bigger batteries because the only language that they speak is 0 to 60. And they go, oh, well, it does it in 2 seconds. Okay, but it doesn't need to. No one's asked for this to do it. And they just keep pushing and they go, oh, well, to go quicker, we need a bigger battery. Bigger battery weighs more. Bigger car, bigger battery, more power. And it's just this,
constant,
until the snake eats itself.
It's like this vicious cycle, yeah.
Now, that's one issue I have, that they're too big and too overpowered. Look at your Insight, which is a hybrid from, 99, and it, until recently, was one of the most fuel-efficient vehicles of all time.
Yeah, it remained the most fuel-efficient car 10 years after it went off sale.
Yeah. And people kind of keep changing the metrics to suit their argument. So you have people going, well, this has as low a drag coefficient as this supercar. But they're two different things, because supercars need drag. That's how you have downforce. EV cars don't want drag because they want slipperiness, increased range. So when they say, oh, it's the same as a Ferrari, the Ferrari has it designed in to be that high. It's not like that's as good as they could do.
Yeah.
It needs it to stick on the road at speeds around bends. So people kind of just they adjust the goalposts to really suit what they're trying to say. Now, there's many flaws in EVs, and we could talk all day about them. But just because you can go to someone that's not into cars and go, oh well, actually, and they go, oh well, you would think that, wouldn't you?
Yeah. I often feel like you just can't win with these people,
and that's often the case. Is you can't, but. There should be the scope to, and it's maybe because it's just still a relatively new concept. We've only been driving for 120 years and we're only really starting to shake things up now. You should be able to say, well, I do support EVs, not wholly, but here are some issues. A lot of people currently don't or may not realise that even how emissions are calculated have changed. Not just because of EVs, but it is a part of it that now... It used to be tailpipe emissions, and now it's lifetime emissions. So that includes how the car was built, how it was shipped, dust that comes off from brake pads and brake wear, tyre wear, everything that's now involved that comes from the car, from its inception to its end. It used to just be counted as what came out the exhaust.
Yeah. And even then, it wasn't really wholly accurate, and it wasn't really truly fair because everything gets used differently. But look, it's and so I'm a big fan of EVs. I do like electric cars for a lot of reasons. I like how they drive. I like the smoothness. I like the quietness. I do like the instant power. All that kind of stuff is very nice. I do like the idea of plugging a car in, and ideally you do it at home and you're charging it off solar panels that are on your roof. And like, great, that's the way it should be done. All that kind of stuff I'm fully on board for. But this idea that, especially in Europe, that the governments have collectively taken that everything has to be EV is wrong.
It just doesn't work.
You cannot have one solution for everything. It just doesn't work that way. And I think what you need to have is, yes, absolutely, there are a lot of people that can absolutely have an EV and will benefit perfectly from it and be very happy with it. And there are other people that absolutely shouldn't have an EV. They should be in a petrol. They should even be in a diesel, because diesel is still very, very clean by today's modern diesel standards versus what diesel used to be like when I was a kid growing up. And it is, from an energy density perspective, the fuel is extremely good, and that's why it's still used in heavy goods vehicles and vans and all that kind of stuff. And if you are the sort of person that if you're driving to Dublin to Galway, down to Cork and back again once a week or twice a week, a diesel car is actually probably going to be better for you. If you are little old Mary and you drive to Super Value on Wednesday and Mass on Sunday, you do not need a diesel Yaris. That was the big mistake, that all the governments got obsessed with CO2 emissions, and we have to have cars that were CO2 friendly. And then sort of 2007, 2008, we all switched to diesel. Everyone bought diesel because we were all told by the governments, this is what we need to do because it's going to be greener.
Well, even back in the 80s, remember there was ads for the BX that were, you go further from the pump.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And you could do big range and all that kind of stuff. But do you really need to have, a Kia Sportage with 1,000-kilometer range?
Yes.
So
the answer is yes.
Well, no, you don't. Not if you're only driving little Hugo to school and creche and then going to.
I don't have to fill up on the way to rugby practice,
yoga class or whatever. And
But, but because you do, because
so there is no, like, this is the thing that we need to kind of understand, and this is partly why it's wrong when you have decision makers that are only doing it for political reasons and are not consulting with the industry or experts around the industry enough to get a better idea or a clearer picture of it. Yes, there are going to be situations where, okay, you might want to have a low emission zone or a no emission zone in a certain part of a city. That's fine. But you have to have alternatives in place for that if somebody wants to use public transport. And you also have to be aware of the fact that there are people that still need to have a diesel or still need to have a petrol or should have a diesel or a petrol or a hybrid or a plug-in hybrid. Like, we have to kind of grasp this idea that there isn't just one solution. Electric cars, by the way, are not going to save the planet. Okay, very sorry about that. Whatever you've been told is not correct. They might help save the car industry, but that's probably the only thing they're saving in real terms.
Yeah, and first of all, buy whatever you want.
Absolutely.
Buy whatever suits your needs.
Yeah.
Just be informed about why you're doing so. Another thing is people kind of are very happily eyes wide shut about what's going to happen when these EVs come to the end of their life. As we know, cars now are built with a much shorter lifespan and life expectancy than in previous generations. And all these batteries will have to be recycled somewhere. And while you think that might not be your job, when's the last time you actually brought your AA's to a wee recycling box and got rid of them?
And you know what? That is actually a massive thing that people don't really realize is like your AA's are like they're far worse for the environment. The biggest issue, and that's a very common thing that I hear as a negative against EVs, is that, the battery's going to give you issue. And we've talked about this extensively. We recently did some stuff on Complete Car on it about misinformation about it, and there's a huge amount of misinformation, or FUD as we call it, which is fear, uncertainty and doubt, which is being spread around by various people that have different agendas when it comes to electric vehicles. Yes, there is a very, very, very small chance that your battery in your electric car may fail, as in the high voltage big battery. But even if that happens, nowadays most of the design is such a way that you can open it up, take out the faulty cell, and replace it and put it back in, and you go again, and that's it. You don't have to, you don't have to replace this.
Yeah.
This whole story of I got this bill for €35,000 to replace the batteries. Like, you probably didn't need to replace the battery. And at the same time, there's far more chance of your combustion engine going bang.
Well, to be fair,
and riding off your car that way.
There has been a lot of talk, and some of it is true. A lot of early hybrids have had failed battery packs, but they are the first of the kind.
Yeah.
You only learn from mistakes. No one had ever ran a hybrid to 10,000 kilometers till they ran it to 10,000 kilometers.
Yeah, look. Yeah.
Stuff fails, first of its kind. That's going to happen. Bigger to fool you for not believing that things can happen. Now, at the same time, you will have, the battery will die. It will. That's how batteries work. They die. But your 520D's timing chain will fail. Mm-hmm. Your Kia Sportage will have DPF issues because it only goes for oat milk lattes. Pick whatever you want. The argument can apply to all.
Absolutely. And this is the thing. Everything, you will have a fault at some point. Most common with electric vehicles, when it comes to a battery issue, is not the battery in the floor. It's the 12-volt battery that you need that powers all the ancillary stuff, which can often drain or go dead or whatever. So, look, I'm not saying they're perfect. They're not. But generally, they work really well. A couple of years ago, I spoke to a guy. When Renault started making electric cars, they made the Zoe. And
they're still learning to make cars.
Yeah, and they set up basically a company that would take the batteries, and not recycle them, but give them a second life. So once they sort of deemed that, the battery's past its best for the car, generally within the industry, that's deemed to be that it only has roughly 70% SOC, which is state of charge. Or the battery health, it's lost 30%.
When your iPhone says service,
it's had all that kind of stuff. So what they would then do is, there's still nothing wrong with that battery, as it's still a functional battery. It's a bit tired. They would take it out and put it into grid storage. So they'd have them in these containers stacked up. That would be basically extra large batteries that your renewable energy would generate energy, gets stored in there, and then at night time it gets dispensed into the network. The biggest issue this guy had was that they couldn't get any batteries, because the batteries were far exceeding what they thought it would do. They thought, after a few years, we're going to get all these batteries back because they're all going to be kind of knackered and tired and all this kind of stuff. It never happened, because the cars were just fine and they just kept driving, and that was it. So, look, yes, they do wear down over time, and they do, especially if you're only ever rapid charging your electric vehicle, you are going to take some of the life off it. If you always charge it to 100% every time, you are going to take some of the life out of it. At the same time, if you get into your combustion engine car, fire it up and don't even give it a second to warm up, and tear down the road and drive the stones out of the thing, guess what? After 5, 6, 7 years of that and you skip servicing, it's not going to have the same performance that it once had.
No, and I've been asked a lot lately, I'm looking at going to an EV, what should I look out for, and what's the way to lose the least amount of money? What's the most efficient? If you want the most, if your sole goal is efficiency for the planet, stay in the car you have.
Yeah.
That is the kindest way to the earth.
The most sustainable car you can buy is the one you already have.
If you want the most economic for your wallet, day to day, and you're on a PCP or a lease, EV or hybrid is, in most cases, a bit better, especially if you have an unconventional journey. But, just kind of going, oh, well, it's cheaper day to day, okay, but then you've had to buy a new car and, if you're buying it outright, then you're going to take the hit in depreciation. You've taken the hit in depreciation on the last car you had, and EVs aren't, at the moment, known for holding their value very well at all. So, again, people don't really kind of take in all aspects of it when considering. And again, this is as people who, I said, I like dogs, so I don't want there to be a bad dog.
Yeah.
I like cars. I don't want there to be a bad car. I don't want, don't want to hate a car. They're all good. And definitely we're guilty of feeling like people are trying to come and take our cars away and move to EV, and they don't have souls and all that. They don't have souls yet. They might. You can't engineer it too well.
I think that's the hardest thing with EVs is how you engineer in. Like they drive differently. That's the reality of it. They're not the same. An electric car, no matter how much performance it has, is never going to replace a V8 powered charger.
No,
it's not. They're just not going to.
I've
give
had
you the
plenty
same
of V8s,
experience.
and you turn them on, and just the shake and the noise and the rumble just makes you laugh, which won't happen with an EV. But
it's the same way though. It's like a vinyl record is not going to say the same. It's not going to be the same experience as an MP3.
No, but in the same
whatever.
way, put me in an Ami or something small and quirky and interesting, full of whimsy, and there's an enjoyment to be had from that as well. That doesn't come from necessarily its driving characteristics, which are none.
Yeah, look, I think EVs are great for a daily commute. It's just you want to kind of you just want to get there.
Yeah, and if you are charging at home and you have solar and stuff like that, and you're on a nighttime rate, yeah, you can kind of think of it almost as free because it's costing you a couple of euro per night. Are you really going to notice it? €3 or €4 a night. That's less than most coffees now at the moment. That's kind of almost free.
Absolutely,
in your day to day.
Yeah, you can save a lot of money. Like public charging is much more expensive, but if you can charge at home, great. And yes, you do pay more up front for the car, but then you do make savings over time, and it depends how much you use it and all that kind of stuff. But like, ultimately, I think we just need to have something for everyone. Yes, EVs are really good for certain people. Still, like I've Octavia RS estate outside with a diesel
performance diesel.
With a performance diesel engine.
Yeah, performance diesel.
And it's like, that's fine. Like that's fine for certain things.
Yeah, look, there is no one solution and there's no one answer, but just because you can find issues with EVs doesn't mean you're against them.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that you should be shunned, and doesn't mean that you don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Just open the conversation a bit more on the...
Look, yeah.
There's merits as well as there's faults.
Ultimately, I see, even as we record this today, Carlos Tavares, who's the CEO of Stellantis, one of the biggest car groups in the world, has said, yeah, EVs aren't for everyone. They're not like the one-stop, the one silver bullet for everything. And that's right. Like, I'm glad we're starting to see this sense that they're not for everybody. They're not like they are going to be great for certain things. And absolutely, I love the benefit they bring in terms of they're quieter. They're better for the local environment in terms of there's no local emissions around the car. If you are going to be one of those people that sit outside of school waiting to pick up your kids, I'd much rather you did it in an EV than in your diesel Kia Sportage or whatever else, and you sit there poisoning people around you with the engines running.
Well, that's because you need the heated seat on, the heated steering wheel on, while wearing your full-length bubbled North Face.
Yeah, exactly. So, look, I think we all just need to I think we all just need to take a fucking chill pill here and just relax a little bit and go, look, some people are going to like this. Other people are going to like that. And that's fine. But just this, like, let's corral everybody down into, you have to have an EV. And if you don't have an EV, you're an absolute bastard.
Club
And you want to
baby
watch the
seals
world. Yeah, exactly. All this kind of
Think
stuff.
about the future.
It's like, it's just stop. Like, this is the one thing that I think a lot of, like, the green politicians and all this kind of stuff, they're shooting themselves in the foot here because they're just being this kind of, taking this absolutist approach that it has to be all this or nothing. I was like, that's not, like, we need to have a multi-pronged approach.
Yeah. As you've heard me say, I don't know how to fly a plane, so I don't usually fly planes.
Yeah, like,
They don't know much about cars, so they probably shouldn't, try tell us
I just think
what's best.
It's this absolutist idea, which I think is totally wrong. And that taking that approach is why we have these stupid electric vehicles with 110 kilowatt hour batteries, and that weigh, the fact that you have a 7-seat electric SUV that weighs 2.5 tons is, and as you mentioned, will accelerate to 104 seconds is plain ludicrous.
Yeah, it's an answer to a question no one asked. Now, if there was one thing that I would outlaw when I come to power,
yeah,
that is stop putting EV engines or powertrains in the place of V8s and flat sixes from classic cars.
Touch the nerve.
That is just stupidity.
Is it though?
They're not making them anymore.
Yeah.
So you're taking that one thing. You're not prolonging its life. You're taking that one thing away. And the damage done to the environment, if that's your eco-warrior cause, has already been made up for because the car is 70 years old, 60 years old, 50 years old. That's the heart and soul of that car. That's what makes it it. Because, trust me, no one is going to drive a C2 Corvette for its, handling capabilities. We're on the edge of performance here with 300 horsepower and bias-ply tires. No, not a chance. It's the feel, it's the soul. No one's driving these cars to their limit. Putting an EV in it, firstly, that's vastly overpowering it. The car's chassis can't cope with it.
True.
Its brakes, I know they upgrade them and all, but, that's taking it away from someone else.
Yeah.
That car has lasted this long. You're not prolonging it. You're just get a fiberglass shell and drape it over something.
Yeah, or just buy a modern EV.
Or stuff like, Rolls Royces. They're awful. Try run a Silver Cloud or something. It's just going to break down. Put an EV in that because that lends itself well to its characteristics of silence, torque, waft, ease. That all, they go hand in hand. Making a G-Series Targa do 0 to 60 in 2 seconds.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, look, yeah, I've never really gotten the point of doing the EV conversion thing because it's kind of like, well, it's kind of, I'm trying to come up with a different way of describing it, but it's just, that's not what it was for.
No, and you do on these swaps and the number of that cars in existence goes down by 1. It looks like it, but so do replicas.
I know some people do take out the engine and they do them in a way that you can recommission and put them back.
It's a vintage car. If you want a vintage car that looks like a vintage car, buy a vintage car. Don't buy a new car that looks like a vintage car.
And if you're so concerned about the environment, just get it and run it on synthetic fuel that is, emissions free.
So according to Richard Hammond,
yes, him off of
the smallest cog and formerly Top Gear. So he said that somewhere in the UK has done a study, and if you drive a classic car that's over a certain year, let's say over 30, if you average 1,500 miles, so 2,500 kilometers a year, that it, due to lifetime emissions, it emits less than your mobile phone per year. So just take into account, think about how often someone has time to use a classic car.
I guess speaking from experience, yes.
I've had multiple Corvettes where I've gone, I'm going to use this all the time, and I've struggled to put 2,000 kilometers on them.
I've not driven my 2CV since when? October?
October.
We're now in early April.
Exactly. These
It
cars,
has not turned a wheel since then.
just because something has a V8, that doesn't mean that's the one responsible for
Yeah.
killing something.
Yeah, people are not leaving starting up their Corvette and leaving it running 24/7.
Yeah.
Unless they're a cargo ship, because cargo ships do that, as do so many other things.
I've
So
never seen a
stop.
Corvette take down a bridge.
Stop. Hold my beer. Yeah, so it's just we all just need to be can we all just be a bit more sensible and also a little bit more open-minded on both sides of the argument. If you like EVs, that's fine. Don't hate on somebody for liking something else.
Unless it's an EV
equally,
swap classic.
if you are one of these like tank top wearing, sister fancying, V8 Luddites,
Hi.
just let people like EVs. You don't have to go and go, oh, it's a milk float and blah, 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 and just fucking stay on Facebook.
As some of our smoking tire compadres would say, NIMBY.
It's not even. Yeah, I mean that's even making it seem quite highbrow to call
I
it
know.
NIMBY. Yeah, it's just.
Anyway, so yeah.
Anyway, God, that was all about ranty. Jesus, sorry. I mean, but it's
that's
just
'cause-
this is just. It is one of those things that I think is very much being discussed a lot at the moment.
Yeah, and, there's room for both.
This is it. I mean, look, we live in a world where not only cars, but cars are a great example. But we just live and let live. Like whatever. If somebody's into an EV, let them go off. You go. It has no impact on you. And it's the same way that if somebody fancies a certain person, let them. It doesn't matter. It doesn't affect you. It doesn't matter.
It does, keeps you up at night.
No, it doesn't. It's just
You must vocalize it all on Facebook, or else it doesn't count. You won't be heard.
Yeah, no, just cop on, Anyway,
So you've been driving a cool car this week, haven't you?
I've been driving many cool cars recently.
You've been driving a little blue cool car this week, haven't you?
Yes.
Named after and inspired by a Roots Group car. This is the third car that I know of in history to have this name. And it seems as it goes on, fourth car in history to have this name. And as they go on, they get less and less interesting every single time. Starting with Dodge, then Hillman, then Dodge again, and now Jeep. It's the Avenger.
Yeah.
I don't know what's avenging. Dullness, maybe.
My God, well, it's doing
Or excitement.
It's doing a very bad job of avenging fucking dullness, that's for sure. So yeah, the Jeep Avenger.
Which, if you don't know, it looked like someone grafted the Jeep grille onto a Fiat 500X.
Yeah, this is a compact crossover that is available. First of all, it's a Europe-only model.
Yes,
So-
the Americans would never.
This is one of the most.
There'd be flag burning over this.
One of the most storied American off-road brands, Jeep. The brand that literally lends its name to what people define SUVs as.
Range Rovers are not Jeeps. Don't call it a Jeep.
They've made a car that they're going, we're making this and we're so ashamed of it, we're not going to sell it in our home market. Okay, maybe that's a slight exaggeration, not entirely true, but it's one of the many Stellantis cars that were like, oh, look, we have this platform. What else can we use it for? I know, let's make a baby Jeep.
Make a Jeep that looks like it's parked very far away.
Yeah. Now, certain aspects of the exterior design, I don't really mind.
If it was parked very far away.
And if it was bigger, because it looks okay. There's serious Father Ted vibes with this because, small, far away. It looks okay. Then you get up a little bit closer and you kind of go, oh, they've done the quirky car thing of making little Easter eggs on the car. Because what do you do when you make a car that is so boring that you go, well, we need to add novelty features to this to maybe help generate some extra interest in it. So it has stuff like the little Jeep grill icon is like, it's like on the front bumper down by the fog light. It's like, oh, we put it here. And then if you look in the tail lights,
Nod to Grandad.
if you look in the tail lights, the center of the tail lights has the little Jeep logo, little grill thing.
Yeah, they're-
all very cute. There's a little ladybird on the plastic of the roof rails. You know,
Yeah, and the windscreen has a little man with a
Yeah.
telescope looking for something good to say.
yeah, that's exactly it. Because so initially this was first of all rolled out here as an electric baby Jeep, and now more recently I drove the petrol version, which was just. I mean, it's been a while since I've driven a car that's just so devoid of any kind of character. There's just, I mean, it is an absolutely functional car.
Isn't it the European car of the year?
It
This year?
it was last year.
Last year.
The electric one was.
Did no one
last
else show up?
year's. I don't know, but
Had,
I mean,
had Jeep put a broom across
I mean,
the door handles?
I don't want to be like, because I'm on a European-wide jury and we do award things. I'm not on that one, and I don't want to be seen to be kind of talking shit about it. But over the last few years, we've kind of gone, really? When the awards come out, and the Avenger last year was definitely one. FYI, this year is the Renault Scenic, the electric Scenic, which is not really anything like what a Scenic once was. By the way, do check out our review on Complete Car, and there's a wonderful video that Neil Briscoe did. Neil off of our first ever episode, who did it on the Complete Car YouTube channel. So do go and check that out. But yeah, the Avenger is just like, you open up the back and you kind of go, where are you meant to sit? There's like no space. It's like, it's okay, fine if you're a double amputee, fine. But like legroom, just they forgot to add the legroom into this car. And then there's just, it has the most wishy-washy gear change. And it's got, the one I had with this little 1.2 petrol, it's like real thrummy engine, but not even in a thrummy good way. And then it's just like, it's
awful.
God. Do you know what? It's not even, I don't even want to say it's awful, because
It is, because
it's
Jeep
not
don't
awful.
make cars, Jeep make Jeeps, and this is neither.
Yeah, and this
It's not a very good Jeep and not a very good car.
Yeah, literally, it is front wheel drive. Like, there's no, you're never gonna go off road in this thing. I just was
It'll
like,
go off road when your nan inevitably falls asleep at the wheel.
it was just very, very bland, and yeah,
It's like a modern Rover. Just why bother?
yeah. I mean, sorry, but Jeep really, they just phoned it. They phoned it in.
They went on to CAD, scaled it down by 20%.
There you go. It is very much one of those cars where I think the engineers just went, yeah, that'll do.
Yeah, and it has an indicator noise
Oh my God!
like nothing else.
Christ Almighty! Oh, so I do have the indicator noise. Believe it or
Yeah,
not.
if anyone here also listens to Smith and Sniff, and you should, then the indicator in the Avenger has came from the Stellantis drum and bass department.
Yeah, so I'm going to play the indicator sound.
It's nearly like the intro to Only Fools and Horses.
Oh my God! I found myself sitting at the lights, turning it off, because it's just so, like that. That's the kind of thing. Do you know what? If they actually, maybe this is why they don't sell it in America, because that's the kind of thing that would make somebody go fucking postal and shoot somewhere.
Yeah.
If you had to listen to that on your commute every day.
Yeah, when
Although
you're at a 5-minute long red light somewhere.
Yeah, it's just, gosh, yeah, just no.
So if you're
Sorry.
thinking of a Jeep Avenger, don't.
I mean, I just don't get the point. And unfortunately, it's one of many small crossovers and SUVs, and Jeeps that are now electric that are just disappointing. And that leads me on to, I'm sorry to say this, the Honda ENY1. Or whatever you want to call it, anyone, which Honda did tell me at the launch that is not what it's called. It is the capital N, capital Y, number 1.
Well, Anyone is what the Honda salespeople have been going around the showrooms saying for the last couple of
Yeah.
months.
Please, anyone?
As they
Anyone?
are welded to the showroom floors.
Nobody wants to buy that car.
Unfortunately, I think they're quite nice.
I think they're fantastic. I love the Honda E. This, though, the Honda ENY1, my God. First of all, the price.
The looks.
The looks. So it is, first of all, it's kind of a slight coupe
No.
body style.
Try again.
Yeah, I know. And it has door handles hidden in the window frame, so it looks like a 3-door and all that kind of stuff. And
Sorry,
it's basically...
Alfa Romeo called. It's 1997 again.
Yeah. So... And then you just drive it and you go, A, it's not very efficient. B, it's just... The interior quality was, I think, pretty shocking by Honda standards. Honda used to make some really good interiors. I mean,
you should know. You have all of the catalogue.
I know. I have a 1999 Honda that, the inside was perfectly good. This thing felt so cheap, so nasty. It was more than 50,000 euros for this thing. And it was just, this to me it is Honda's great fall from grace, this car. They used to make astonishingly good cars. And I'm not saying that from a point of bias of owning many. I own 4 Hondas. But
Your net worth has gone up by £4.
they used to make some fantastic cars with great interiors, all that kind of stuff. This car,
It was also
I'm so disappointed by
Type
it.
R shit aside.
Yeah.
If you were buying a Honda, you knew what you were getting. You knew
Absolutely.
you knew what an Accord was going to be like.
Safe as houses, reliable, all that kind of stuff.
This, it's a big old glass of dull.
Really is.
Especially the fact that it half shares the name with the E, which was lovely, cute, well designed.
Yeah.
I know some people didn't like the price.
Yeah.
Some people
Yeah.
didn't like the aquarium on the dash,
Why
on the
would you
wood,
not like the aquarium?
because they're weird.
Yeah, I think that was the car that's just people totally missed. They didn't get the point of it.
Yes, like the i3, the A2,
Yeah.
the Insight.
Yes.
I think people look back, even currently, go, that they should have sold more. By all accounts, they got every single thing mostly right.
Yeah.
They should have sold more.
And I will absolutely be buying one in the future.
Yes.
100%. 100%.
A couple of weeks from now, when they depreciate into the 4 figures.
Yeah, I would totally be buying one. But yeah. So yeah, the Honda ENY1 was, well, boy, that was a little bit of a disappointment, But I mean, and just the kind of thing that's very frustrating at the moment in the car industry. It's just, there's so much bland being put out there that it's like, come on, give us some fucking good stuff.
Well,
where's the good stuff?
I have been asked to talk about a vehicle that has a very exciting engine. It's got a V8 and it's got some turbos. And
we like
this is, and listeners may not be aware of this, the all new, important to note,
da, 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 da.
G-Wagon. All new.
Gilanda wagon.
Now, this is going to be like a, pull out from the Beano, trying to spot the differences between the old one and the new one. It's not a facelift. Mercedes were very insistent in their press release.
New.
All new. I dare you to tell it apart.
They are. Do you know what? The boys and girls in the Porsche 911 design department are like, oh, we are off the hook, lads.
Yeah.
People thought we were the laziest fuckers in the world. No, the boys up the road in Stuttgart have this licked.
Yeah. It's all new. Why? Because we said so.
Exactly.
Moving on.
But sorry, there is also an electric one now.
Yeah, and it can tank turn, but you can't tank turn. Only Merc can tank turn.
Sorry?
It can tank turn,
Yes.
but they won't let you do it. They say you're not to do it.
Oh, right.
They can only do it in Las Vegas to show you it can do it, but they say
So
that you can't.
Well, so the mode is disabled?
I don't know if it's that or just like your mom telling you not to
Oh,
draw on the
don't do
wall.
that.
I'm not sure yet.
Okay.
But yeah, they've said no. That's just to show that it can.
You
But
know,
you
it's only
can't.
going to be a matter of time before it'll probably be in like central London. There's going to be some arsehole doing it.
It'll be chrome.
And it'll be chrome, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he'll have his
That's actually-
and he'll have his Instagram handle sticker on the rear window, because
I find
nothing tells the world more that you are a needy dickhead, quite like having your own Instagram handle printed on a sticker on your door window.
I find the electric wagon much more interesting than a G63, because I think it's going to be very conflicting for people who want the latest but also need to show off and be obnoxious, which is a lot of G63 clients.
Yeah.
So I go, I don't want to pay congestion charge, or I want the latest one, or, but I can't make loads of noise and tell people I'm coming down the road.
How will people see me, hear me coming?
Yeah. So very conflicted. I'm excited.
Yeah.
Yeah, moving on. You are driving not a Yaris, but a Yaris in the shape of a
Mazda 2 hybrid, which is definitely not a Toyota Yaris.
It's not a Yaris, because the badge says so.
So I recently attended the international launch of the Mazda 2 hybrid. Now, Mazda already have a car called the Mazda 2, but this is now another Mazda 2 with an entirely different body style, which is also called the Mazda 2, but it's now called the Mazda 2 hybrid. They couldn't find a way of making their existing Mazda 2 and putting a hybrid onto it. So they basically just rang up Toyota and said, you guys make the Yaris. It's a pretty good hybrid. Can we have it, please? And that's kind of what's happened. So it is effectively a rebadged Toyota Prius with a Mazda badge.
You say effectively.
Now, they've changed the front bumper on it now. For a 24 model year, because this car has actually been out for 2 years and just quietly not talked about it, and they wouldn't let the press drive it here at all. Because I remember when they initially announced it, and I asked the person in Mazda at the time, said, "Oh, can we get one to test?" And we're not giving them out to the press. I was like, "Oh, that's a bit weird." And it's like, basically, we know that you're probably going to just talk about the fact that it's a Yaris. I was like, well, obviously, because that's what it is. I mean, you haven't made it very, very, difficult. You haven't concealed it very well. But also, the Yaris is a very, very good car. Like the current Yaris hybrid is an excellent car for what it is. Anyway, they've made a Mazda 2 hybrid, and it has a slightly different front bumper and a different rear garnish on the boot lid, which is now body coloured. They also offer it in one unique colour, and it comes with a lot of spec on it. So if you want a Yaris and you want loads...
Is the pricing any different?
I mean, it's pushing past 30 grand if you want a Hamura Plus spec. But, I mean, you're getting a ton of equipment on it in terms of stuff that you wouldn't really expect in a Yaris-sized car, like adaptive cruise control, a colour head-up display, a panoramic glass roof, 17-inch alloy wheels. All these kind of I'm listing yourself because I've written about it a load of times. It's got loads of what I kind of refer to as big car options on it. A 12.3-inch display for the instrument cluster and a 10-inch display for the touchscreen and wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, there's loads of stuff in it. But I'm always and part of me is always like, would you not just buy a bigger car with slightly less spec and have more space? But anyway, the reason Mazda do this is that all car brands are based, they're all their range emissions across all their vehicles are calculated, and they have to be a certain thing. And obviously, it's very expensive to go and make a hybrid. And if somebody already makes one, you basically white label it and buy it in, and that's what they've done, and it helps bring down their overall range. So that's why they've done it.
It's why the Aston Martin Signet exists.
Exactly. And look, this is not by the way, there's nothing wrong with it at all. I totally get why they're doing it. I wish they did do a little bit more to try and make them a little bit different. But Suzuki does this with Toyota. With the Swace. They also basically take a Corolla Estate.
It's not the first time. Well, Mazda previously had the Bongo Friendly, which you could buy as a Ford Windstar.
And you had the Mazda 121, which was a Ford Fiesta.
Yes.
So this, In the industry, Cormac, in the industry, we call this badge engineering.
It is badge engineering.
Um,
And it's been around since the dawn of time.
yes.
For a very, very long time, have
Opel
cars,
Vauxhall.
Opel Vauxhall, Dodge, and way back in the 60s, Dodge and Plymouth shared a lot of
Yes.
stuff. Well, a lot of kind of Chrysler product and Mopar
Dodge and
cars.
Alfa Romeo nowadays.
Yeah, you have some ones that you may not have known about, though.
Oh, gather round, children. Cormac is about to unleash some weird car genre general trivia knowledge.
So, way back in the early 90s,
When you were but a nipper.
yes, there was a business arrangement between Honda,
Yes.
who made brilliant cars,
Yes.
and Rover, who at the time made some not as brilliant cars. And what they did was they swapped for a while.
Yeah.
So Rover got
Like
some...
like friends do with like their favorite toys.
Yeah.
Every so often.
Try this out.
Yeah.
Stick your badge on this and see how it works. So in the UK, people got the Rover, was it the 200 series? And these were basically small Honda Accords and that had a Rover badge and were very reliable all of a sudden. And in return, this is the more interesting part, Honda got the Land Rover Discovery 1,
Yes.
which was badged as, and this is odd because the Land Rover Discovery 1 was sold in Japan as a Land Rover, but you could also, if your allegiance laid to domestic market,
If you were an incredibly patriotic Japanese person at the time.
you could have the Honda Passport,
Yes.
which was a Disco 1. So suddenly, Japanese cars got much more unreliable, and Birmingham-based cars got a lot more reliable. You also had the Concerto, which was a 200 series, I believe, in Japan.
Right. How can you get... Surely in the Honda parts department, you can get the Passport badge
It's a grill.
and grille.
If you Google a Honda Passport,
I mean, I would buy a Discovery just to do the badge swap on it.
well, the irony is that they called it the Passport, but it wouldn't really allow you to go that far because it would inevitably break.
It didn't travel outside the country.
No. Now, there's another one.
Okay.
And this car didn't do well in any of its guises. But it's the M100 series, as I believe it's internally called. Early 90s. Lotus Elan.
Oh, yes.
The front-wheel drive. Lotus Elan.
Often referred to as the greatest handling front-wheel drive car in the world.
By the 6 people who've driven one. Yeah.
I've always thought that was a dubious claim.
Yeah, because I've been in a Mini.
Yeah.
That was sold, would you believe, as a Kia. The Kia Elan.
They didn't even change the Elan bit.
No, it was just the Kia Elan.
The Kia Elan.
Yeah.
That's so weird.
It's, yeah, like I know Lotus and Isuzu and Ermshire, they all had kind of tie-ins together where there'd be handling by Lotus.
Handling by Lotus. Yes.
Yeah. Basically, if you couldn't figure out how to make something go around the corner, you could phone up Lotus and get their handling department on the case.
Please stop our car from toppling over.
And Lotus, the fellas in Hettle, very kindly went, yes, we want to keep our jobs.
Yes.
The wolf is at Old Guild's door. Please let us do some stickers for you or something.
I mean, there was the question mark over whether they actually did it or whether they just put the stickers that said handling by Lotus on the car.
Apparently, I heard something that, yeah, if they had the stickers, it wasn't done, and if it had a badge, it was done. There's probably no truth
It
in
was
that.
like this, like tiered, like, what can you afford? Oh, I can't really afford to have you do the engineering. Well, we can sell you this sticker for a much lower price. Oh, that'll do. That's fine. Nobody's going to ever test this out.
Yeah, because I saw an Ermshire Isuzu Trooper Bighorn handling by Lotus, which
God.
had a Lotus branded steering wheel.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
What exactly
Did they
of the
do?
handling characteristics of an Isuzu Trooper Bighorn needed to be improved. They're just, if you got into it, toppled over, and they went,
Yeah.
we can't have this.
God, yeah, that's
Because there's hardly some fella going, no, it's right on limit. You've got to tighten up that shock.
yeah. I mean, that's you're not gonna get into a. I mean, unless you have some sort of death wish, you're not gonna go into a trooper and be having it on the door handles around
Yeah.
every corner. So
Just going, the
I mean,
off-center vagueness is just, it's ruining the whole experience for me.
you'll be on the door handles quickly, followed by the door mirror and the roof.
Yeah, absolutely. So there,
I
I mean, we can keep going. There are 1,000,001 badge engineered cars. You know, you could do multiple shows on even just part sharing and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like that. There were so many. It is. I often feel that it's kind of like the car industry's like dirty secret when they're doing
No,
all
the
that
car
kind of
industry's
stuff.
dirty secret is how many cars use Citroen CX door mirrors.
Whoa. Go on.
Most TVRs. Mm-hmm. The Jaguar XJ220.
Yeah.
I think there's a Maserati in there as well from the 90s. Basically, I think Citroen sold more CX mirrors than they did CXs by a factor of 4 to 1.
Do you reckon? Did you reckon they did that deliberately, or they messed up and they ended up with too many? And
They
then
printed
had
too many.
and then, because I like any Citroen up until recently, any Citroen that you got into in the last 20 years had the exact same electric window switch.
Just like Peugeot and their unwillingness to change their indicator stocks or
Yeah.
radio controls.
Yeah, I reckon somebody went and we had to order some, and then I sneezed when I was inputting the order, and we now have 110 million indicator stalks.
The CX came out in, I want to say, 78. The CX came out a very, very long time ago. The newest car so far that I've been managed to find that has a CX mirror on it is the TVR Cigaris.
Wow,
Still uses.
yeah, still out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is a ton of that, and like I sometimes do that. I get into a car and go, oh, it's like all the switchgear inside a Tesla Model S is from Mercedes, because it is insanely expensive to make switchgear. Like that's the thing. It's kind of like
For
it's
everyone
one of
that-
those weird things that people don't really realize.
Everyone complained about the BMW shifter and the new Supra, apparently, to just have that look different and a different interface would have cost in the millions in development, which would have put the price of every single car up. And then people would complain more, like, oh, how dare they charge this much?
Yeah.
Well, because you wanted a different shifter. So that's why this kind of stuff happens. And it's why Aston Martin DB7 has the interior door handles from an MX-5.
Yeah. I mean, an engineer once told me doing an indicator stalk alone was roughly about 8 million euro to develop just the indicator stalk, because they've got to design it, they've got to engineer it, then it has to go through all the durability testing and all that. So if you could make a new indicator stock for every single car every time. Oh, we got a new indicator stock, but like 8 million quid is a lot of money, and you go, well, I got this one and it works just fine. We'll just use this instead.
Yeah.
Anyway, there you go, an insight into the crazy badge engineering world of hybrids and all sorts of stuff in electric cars. I hope we've covered off some stuff.
Yeah,
there.
look,
it's definitely.
We could be
we're-
nerdy for hours and hours and hours, more so than this. Drop us a comment or a message. You know, maybe we'll consider doing an episode on crossover specials, you know, where parts or bits have been, you know, that you might not have known are shared within brands and cars and stuff like that.
I would like.
It might, if you have trouble sleeping, maybe that would help.
I would like. I think we need to do an hour-long special on the Honda Passport. Maybe we could
Where
get-
we find one.
where we find the engineering team responsible for that car.
How many phone calls did Honda get by customers just flabbergasted at the fact that this car has broken when no single Honda in history prior had?
Yes. Why is my Honda failing to proceed?
Where is the VTEC in this 3.5 litre?
Where's the BTEC, yo? Anyway, okay, look, we're coming up on time. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. Please, please, please do tell all your friends about this podcast. Share it. do whatever you need to do, get more people listening to it, because we've got some really actual great stuff coming in the pipeline for this show. So we're very excited about that. And obviously we want as many people as possible to hear it. And we would also like to have some food on our table.
Yeah,
so
and
please do.
If you're listening to this and going, God, well done, guys, great job, how can I support? Well, good news. You can leave a like.
Yeah.
You can leave a review wherever you get your podcasts.
Which is free.
Tell us what you enjoy about it, even if you're lying. And if you don't like it, but keep that to yourself.
No. I'm willing to accept a certain amount of feedback as long as it's constructive. That's fine. But yeah, you can find more of what I do on completecar.ie. Obviously, if you want to follow me on social medias, look for either just Google my name and Cars or Lord Humphreys. Obviously, we can find you on the old Instagram.
At Works Cooper S. Don't know why you'd want to. It's just full of Range Rovers. Really.
Yeah, it's
the odd Twingo.
P38 land.
Yeah.
Featuring
P38 Echo Chamber.
Featuring Twingos. And as ever, we would love to say a big thank you to our sponsors, which is 3FE Coffee. So head over to 3fe.com, get everything you need there. If you need some beans or a book or any sort of accessories, or also do head into one of their 7 now stores in Dublin. So look for 3FE Coffee, give them a follow on the socials. And that's been this week's show. Thanks for listening. Goodbye.
Bye.